those last remarks from the record, and the jury will ignore them in their consideration. Proceed.
May I ask you again, ladies and gentlemen, before you begin your deliberations, to take a good look at the defendant. And remember, it was just that air of good breeding and dignity that enabled her to ensnare an innocent man and blackmail him out of more than $30,000. The evidence presented to you in the past few days...
He wants to send you up for 10 years.
Should certainly leave
the way he's going, he's apt to do it, too.
The intent of the accused in establishing contact with Kroll...
Thank you, Miss Hubert. That's all I'll need. You can go back to the office.
Yes, sir. But there's one more thing. Cable came for you from England.
I'll take care of that later.
No, please read it now.
But a completely bogus one.
Just 1 minute. Your Honor, the jury is being deceived by these bland assertions. The witness, Kroll, was nothing but a common thief who was trying to save his own neck.
Mr. Hayward, will you please make your objections at the proper time?
The learned counsel must know that objections have no place in a summation.
Nor do political ambitions have any place in a court of law.
I'm sure that any of you in your daily contact with many people as you go about your business do not attempt to paint for those people a fake false concept of your surroundings and standing in your community. On the contrary, your desire as honest citizens is to give a true picture of yourself.
Listen to him. We've got to do something.
Why was this deception attempted?
I'll take care of this later, Miss Hubert. I'll see you back at the office.
Decision which you were called upon to make. The defendant's long career of crime.
Objection. What long career of crime? Another one of those empty phrases invented by the district attorney for our entertainment.
Empty phrase. I suppose the learned counsel is unaware that his client was indicted in Philadelphia for a similar...
Do I need to make the motion, Your Honor?
No. No need. Mr. Healy, after taking 2 weeks of this court's time, you have, by referring to an indictment other than the one with which we are concerned here, clearly prejudiced the jury. I have no recourse but to declare a mistrial.
You were wonderful. Thank you.
Well, forget it. When they send you up, I just assume it was after a fair trial. Besides, I don't think he'd make a very good governor, do you?
Mr. Hayward, don't you want to do something about that now?
Miss Hubert, I told you I'd take care of this when I went back to the office. I've only got 2 hands, you know.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hayward, that I was so insistent about that cable.
Sam in jail in great trouble. What kind of trouble could he be in? How much money have I got? Can I send him $1,000?
Yes, I think so.
Well, find out. If we can't afford it, send it.
You told me about Sam, you know.
Oh, I did? When?
One night when we worked late, and you got a little tight.
Oh.
You talked about the war.
That must have been exciting.
Yes, it was.
Look, Miss Hubert, I'm sending him some money. What's wrong with that?
Nothing, but in the case of Sam, I don't believe it's money he needs. I think what he needs is a friend.
You mean go to England? You must be out of your mind. I've got cases scheduled. I've got my obligations to this firm.
Hello? Just one moment, please. It's your girl.
Nora? Tell her I'm busy.
This is Louise.
Well, what does she want?
Probably called to pant a little. I believe you have a date with her tomorrow night. I could arrange a passport for you very quickly.
Yes. Yes, of course.
Shall I tell her you can't make it?
Hello? Hello, Louise. Yeah. Yeah, I know about tomorrow. Yeah. Well, wear something interesting. I'm in the mood for a big evening. I don't care where we eat as long as it's exciting.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. What's all the excitement?
Oh, nothing. They're all from London. That's 20 miles from here.
Oh. Beg your pardon. Could I rent a room here?
Well, we have one, sir, but how long would you be wanting it for?
I don't know yet.
Because we have a Mrs. Richardson and 3 children coming to the annual holiday on Monday week, and they always have a room each year.
I beg your pardon. Would you mind saying that again? I didn't quite understand what you said.
There's a Mrs. Richardson and her 3 children coming for their annual holiday on Monday week, and they always have a room each year.
Oh, I see. Is there a Mr. Richardson as well?
Oh, yes, sir. But he don't come. He always takes his holiday the same time as she do.
Ah, smart man. Well, I'll clear out as soon as Mrs. Richardson hits town.
What did you say, sir?
Oh, I mean, I'll leave when Mrs. Richardson gets here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Will it be convenient, sir?
It will be necessary.
Yeah. Of course. Well, will you go up now, sir, or... here, how would you like a pint of M&B?
Well, what was that?
M&B, mild and bitter. Beer.
Beer? Oh, thank you very much. May I leave my things here?
Yes, sir, you can put them there. They'll be all right. Nobody will touch them.
It's lively in Lesser Hambledon on Sunday, isn't it?
Oh, aye, it is. But you want to see it when the weekend's over, sir. Mind the steps, sir. Mind a mild and bitter, the gentleman, Bill.
Could you tell me where Sam Baxter lived?
That'll be the livery stable you want, sir. That's across the green and through that archway, sir.
Oh, thanks.
Excuse me, sir, but you won't find Sam at home.
Now, what's he in for?
Pardon me inquiring, sir, but have you come from America?
Yes, I have. I had supper there last night.
Would you be knowing an American what used to be a friend of Sam's?
I might.
Who lives in New York?
Could be.
Was a major in the American Army?
That's right.
And you ain't him, sir.
Yes, I am.
Well. It's a small world and no mistake, sir. Why, Sam used to sit over there and he'd tell us how he sneaked out of hospital to get some of that Italian wine, and how he ended up floating around in the bay, and how you rescued him from the American Navy, and when he woke up in hospital again, he found 2 whiskey bottles in his bed.
That all he told you?
Why, yes, sir.
Didn't tell you why he was in the hospital?
No, sir.
He didn't tell you about Anzio? He didn't tell you that he saved my life?
No, sir. He never did.
What's he in jail for?
Major Hayward, it is you.
Yes. You're Mary Baxter.
This is young Sam. Samuel Adams.
Oh.
I oughtn't to have sent that cable. Sam will be very angry. He's only 3 months old. Won't won't you come in and have a cup of tea? I've just made one.
Yes, thank you.
Excuse me a minute, Major, while I tidy up a bit.
My.
Sam says they don't mean anything, but they do impress the customers. Milk and sugar?
Yes, please. Mary, how did it happen? How could Sam, of all people,
It
have...
was Lawrence got him into it. I hated him.
Who is Lawrence?
He's the man who was killed.
Oh.
He was Sam's partner in the stables out here. Except he let Sam do all the work while he played around with every woman in the village. Sam quarreled with him about that many a time. It was getting the business a bad reputation. There. I've given you Sam's cut. I'm so used to making tea for him at this time of day. He comes stamping in about now. And you'd think his life depended on having a cup of tea.
Where did Lawrence live?
Out there in the stables, I'll show you. Sam made over that stall for him when he took him into partnership. It was in that room that it happened. Sam came rushing in, all raving mad.
Now, wait a minute, Mary. The last time I saw Sam, he wasn't the type of guy that went raving mad. There must have been a reason.
Yes, there was. Lawrence was in the pub one night. Half drunk he was, but even then, he'd never have said it if Sam had been there.
What did Lawrence say?
That when our baby grew up, he'd have red hair just like his. I was the only woman he never even looked at. You believe that, don't you, Major?
Yes, I believe it, Mary.
Thank you. Well, Sam came into the pub a little later and heard about it. He rushed out over to Lawrence's. Lawrence had a gun. Sam tried to get it from him and it went off.
Lawrence had the gun. You're sure of that?
Yes, Lawrence had the gun.
Well, then it was self-defense. No judge in the world can deny that. Don't you worry. Sam will be home having tea with you before you know it.
But Major Hayward, the gun was Sam's. He used to keep it up on the wall there, except when he went shooting. I never even noticed it was gone.
Oh.
Does that make it hopeless?
Don't you worry, Mary. You know, the first thing that I want to do is take a look at Lawrence's room. That's something I can do right now.
Well, they locked it up the day after it happened. You'll have to get the key from the police.
Well, that ought to be easy.
Major Hayward. I expect he wants his bottle.
Where's the police station?
You go out through the archway, turn right, and it's the third cottage.
Oh. Thanks very much, Mary, and I'll see you later.
Major Hayward, you're just like what Sam told me. I'm glad I sent that cable.
Inspect the room of the deceased, sir.
Yeah.
On a Sunday, sir.
Why not?
Oh, permission would be very hard to be obtained, sir, especially on a Sunday, sir. Or if it comes to that, any other day.
Well, it has come to that. I've got to see that room.
Oh, well, you best have word with Sergeant, sir.
Okay, lead me to the sergeant.
He's not here.
Oh. Where does he live?
Oh, down the west end of the village, sir. Now, you cross the brook, go down the road until you come to a house with a notice that says, "Beware of dogs." He raises spaniels, sir, and the notice is there for motorists, like, so don't be frightened.
I'll take my chances. Thank you very much.
Begging your pardon, sir, the sergeant. He's on leave. He won't be back till a fortnight come Tuesday.
Who is in charge?
Inspector, sir.
Where do I catch up with him?
Do what to him, sir?
Where does the inspector live?
Oh, now you take the Hambledon Road, sir, and after you've gone about 2 miles, you come to a meadow in the shape of a cocked hat. Well, you turn right there.
No, wait a minute. The inspector's not on leave, too, is he?
Oh, no, sir. He's over at Broxford visiting his aunt. He always goes Sunday.
Who else is there around here administering law and order?
Perhaps you better wait for the inspector, sir?
Look, suppose the inspector had an accident.
Oh, no, sir. He drives very careful.
Supposing he just died.
No, he's not the kind of man to die, sir. Not at his age, sir.
Supposing his aunt put poison in his morning tea.
Oh, what, Mrs. Ormsby, sir? No, never in your life. Her husband was a missionary.
Supposing something happened to him, who would be in charge?
Oh, well, it's very hard to say, sir. Of course, there's always Colonel Summerfield.
Who is he?
He's the High Sheriff of the county, sir. Sort of head policeman, but not a policeman, if you understand me, sir.
And where does the Colonel live?
Up at the manor house, sir, where he's always lived.
He's not in India or anything?
Oh, no, sir. He's finished with all that.
Oh, then he would be at home.
I wouldn't like to say, sir. Who am I to say as what Colonel Summerfield does on Sundays?
Thank you very much. Hi, Corporal. When were you in the United States Army?
I worked at the American headquarters in London during the war.
Oh, you didn't plan the Italian campaign, did you?
No. Who are you?
My name is Haywood, Adam Haywood.
Can I do anything for you?
Well, I'll take one of these. Seems to me the Army might have given you something prettier to remember them by.
Afraid I stole them.
Oh, now you're stealing these from the poor, unsuspecting guy who owns this place.
The poor, unsuspecting guy who owns this place is Colonel Summerfield. I'm Alex Summerfield.
Married to Colonel Summerfield.
No. His younger brother. He was killed in Italy.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Would I be right in thinking that you came to see my brother-in-law?
Well, yeah, I'm not just on a radish hunt. I came down here because I couldn't get anybody to answer the door when I rang.
Don't you have Sundays in America?
Yeah, about once a week.
Well, then, the maid goes to bed to save her feet and read one of the brighter Sunday papers. And Robert listens to the Sunday Symphony.
Think he'd mind listening to me for a while?
You couldn't have chosen a worse day.
I didn't have any choice. I just got here, and it's pretty important.
Well, I'll see what I can do. May be difficult.
Thanks for trying.
Wait here a moment.
How do you do, sir? I'm sorry to trouble you this way. My name is Haywood, Adam Haywood.
Hey.
I just flew in from New York.
Right, well, do sit down.
Thank you. I knew Sam Baxter during the war, and I...
Oh, is this worrying you?
Thank you. I knew Sam Baxter during the war. I heard he was in trouble. I got a cable from his wife. I'm going to see him tomorrow. But in the meantime, I wanted to take a look at the scene of the crime. I went to the local police station, but I couldn't seem to make the constable understand what I wanted.
Oh, I think he understood perfectly, Mr. Hayward. He provided me with your particulars. He laid a special emphasis on your extremely forceful personality.
Oh, did he?
Would you like a glass of sherry?
Thank you.
I found it very hard to get this sherry since the war.
Yes, yes. I need a permit to get into Lawrence's room, the room where he was killed. I've come a long way to get it, and I guess I've just got to have it.
I'm afraid in this instance that your guess may not be as good as mine.
But I have a hunch that there might be something in that room that would help the defense. I'm a lawyer, sir, and I...
Yeah, we practice law in England, too, you know. The police have visited that room. They have their hunches sometimes, Mr. Hayward, strange as it may seem.
You mean the constable?
Well, Hawkins has his superiors.
Yes, yes, I know. I've come all the way from New York to help Sam Baxter, and I'm asking you for permission to get into that room.
Mr. Hayward, you must realize, perhaps you find it hard because you practice law in your own country, but you must realize that you have no legal status here.
Yes, sir, I know.
Of course, I know that you are a friend of the accused. Sam Baxter's often talked about you. He has a great affection for you. But such personal relationships mean nothing in a court of law.
Then I don't get the permit.
Through the proper channels, Mr. Hayward, possibly, but only through the proper channels.
You mean you refuse to take the responsibility of issuing that permit?
I should exceed my duties if I did so, Mr. Hayward. Now a glass of sherry.
Colonel, would it do any good to remind you that this is a matter of life and death?
My decision is not made on a basis of emotion, Mr. Hayward.
You going back to the village?
Yeah.
Walking?
Yep.
I'll take you over in the car. First, you've got to help me carry these over to the church.
Shall I tell you something about my brother-in-law?
I wish you would.
When Robert says he might do something, it means that he will.
What makes you think he might do something?
Because after Hawkins telephoned this morning, he said he'd try and get you a permit.
Oh, then all that talk was just a waste of time, eh?
I'm sure my brother-in-law didn't do all the talking, did he?
Well, it was about an even break.
I'm on your side. I know the Baxters. Feel so sorry about them.
You mean that, or are you just saying it to be polite?
Why should I? What makes you be so cynical?
Well, I have met women who said things they didn't mean.
Must you include me in that?
Okay, prove I'm wrong.
Good afternoon. The flowers my brother-in-law promised for the altar. I'm sorry I didn't bring them earlier.
Thank you, Mrs. Summerfield. Thank you. This is Miss Hicks and Mrs. Calderwood of our church guild.
How do you do? Oh, so delighted.
How do you do?
And this is Major Adam Hayward, poor Sam Baxter's friend from America.
Word gets around over here pretty fast, doesn't it?
I hope you're comfortable at the Red Lion.
Well, I'll be all right till Mrs. Richardson and her 3 children arrive. And I guess I'm going to be a little cramped for room.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, you must come and stay with us. Provided you don't mind the washing up. I'm rather absent-minded, so my wife informs me. Since the war, I've thrown 2 plates, 4 coffee cups, and 7 teaspoons with the dirty water down the sink. I'm so touched you should come to church your first day over here. It's such a good example to the villagers. Well, come along inside.
Mr. Adam Hayward to see you, Mr. Beamish.
I'm pleased to meet you, sir.
Happy to meet you, sir.
I tried to see you at your home yesterday.
Indeed? Oh, yes. My wife said that someone had... It was you. I went off fishing. Caught some lovely trout. Ate 3 for breakfast. I caught 5 in all. My wife ate 2. Please sit down.
Oh, yes, thank you. I came to see you,
Yes, I know. You're Sam Baxter's friend. The police informed me of your presence here.
Oh, did they? Well, I want to do everything I can to help. I know all the difficulties.
We have an excellent counsel for the defense, Mr. Hayward.
I'm very anxious to do anything I can. I practice law in New York.
Indeed. Then you will understand that you have no legal standing in a British court.
I would like to see Sam, and then possibly after that we could discuss some plan of attack.
Attack?
Well, I mean in court. Strategy.
Mr. Hayward, I am Mr. Baxter's solicitor, not his counsel. Strategy is not in my province. I provide the ammunition, as it were, for counsel's guns. I bring it up to the front line, to use a military simile, as tight-packed and waterproof as possible, and hand it to the counsel for his use against the enemy in his own good time. In other words, strategy is entirely the province of the barrister, Mr. Foxglove. You will have to take it up with him.
What was that name again?
Martin Foxglove, an excellent man, with although I say it myself, an excellent brief.
I would like to arrange to see Sam in the jail. Would that be in your province? Could you arrange that?
Yes, Mr. Hayward. I think that would be in order, quite in order. Yes.
Major.
Will you just sit here, sir?
Just a couple of civilians now, Sam.
Mary sent for you? Well, she shouldn't have done that. Taking you away from your work and putting you to all this trouble and expense. Did you see her?
Yeah. You must have done some pretty fast talking to get a girl like that to marry you.
Did she show you young Sam?
Yes, she did. Quite a boy. Too bad he looks so much like old Sam.
Yeah, I did it all right, Major. I killed him.
In self-defense.
But that's what they're going to plead. But you don't have to worry about me, Major. Mr. Beamish tells me that I've got the best man in the country.
Yes, that's what he told me this morning. It was Lawrence who had the gun, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, he had the gun, all right. He'd have blown me head off, too. That's not what people think. They think I stopped at our house and got the gun, did him in.
Did anyone see you go into Lawrence's rooms without the gun?
No. Well, no one who'll admit they did, anyway.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's a bit hard to explain.
You're going to have to explain it, Sam.
Well, you see, when I was struggling with Lawrence, we crashed into the bedroom door. I heard a noise behind me, like a gasp.
You heard a gasp. Did you see anything?
Well, no. Lawrence grabbed the gun. I had my hands full. Then the gun went off.
Who was in that bedroom, Sam?
Well, I don't know. I heard footsteps running. I heard the bedroom window open. I rushed in, but she'd gone.
She? Why she?
Because I knew Lawrence. I knew if he had anyone there at that time... well, he's dead and gone anyway.
Did you say all this at the inquest?
Oh, yes, I did. What's the use? I can't prove it. They think I just cooked it up.
Sorry, Baxter. Got to take you along now.
Well, don't worry about me, Major. It's not the first time it looked as if I'd had it.
Sam. I'll be seeing you.
Thanks, Major.
But if you found this witness, you'd have an open and shut case.
Open and shut, Mr. Hayward?
Well, I mean, you'd win it.
I can assure you that Baxter's story has been examined in all its aspects by the police.
Sam's not a liar.
Mr. Hayward, did you never hear the phrase, all men are liars?
He's as straight as he can be.
Any man when face to face with death.
During the war, I saw Sam face to face with death.
Yes, but don't you tend to sentimentalize the services? I had 5 years in the Judge Advocate's department.
Did you see a lot of men like Sam in that outfit?
I prosecuted quite a number of them, Mr. Hayward. Yes.
Silence in court!
Put up Samuel Baxter. Samuel Baxter. Is that your name?
Yes?
You stand charged upon this indictment with murder. It is alleged that on the 12th May, 1949, in the East Riding Division in the county of Milcher, you murdered Herbert Allison Lawrence. How say you, Samuel Baxter? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
The names you shall now hear called are the names of the jurors who will pass between our sovereign lord the king and you upon your trial. If you object to them or any of them, your time to do so is now as they come to the book to be sworn, and your objection will be heard. Members of the jury, as your names are called, you will stand up and take the testament in your right hand and read the oath from the card. William Sherwood.
I will well and truly try and true deliverance make between our sovereign lord the king and the prisoner at the bar, whom you will have in charge, and a true verdict give, according to the evidence, so help me God.
Margaret Marsh.
I will well and truly try and true deliverance make between our sovereign lord the king and the prisoner at the bar.
In my opinion, you'll never get him off unless you prove self-defense, and you'll never prove self-defense unless you find that witness.
Mr. Hayward, I assure you that Mr. Beamish and myself and the police have left no stone unturned.
Well, I'm sure you're doing everything possible.
Sovereign Lord the King and the
Less
prisoner
talking, please.
whom you will have in charge, and a true verdict give according to the evidence, so help me God.
Una Stevenson.
I will well and truly try and true deliverance make between our sovereign lord the king and the prisoner at the bar, whom you will have in charge, and a true verdict give.
Where you headed, Corporal?
Just finished my shopping and I'm on my way home.
Do you mind dropping me at the village, Red Lion?
Certainly. How's the trial going?
Well, I don't know. It just started, but I figured out I'm not being much help to Sam, just sitting in court looking confused.
I'm sure your being here is a help to him.
Well, that's very nice of you. You don't win murder cases by just giving the prisoner nothing but moral support. I'm going back to that village to ask a few questions. Somebody there knows who was in Lawrence's rooms the night he was killed.
Oh? So you're going back to give the village the third degree?
Well, why not? They're Sam's friends, aren't they?
Well, it may only be gossip, but I have heard Ellen Foster's name mentioned once or twice as someone who knew Lawrence rather well.
Where does Miss Foster live?
Mrs. Foster. Mrs. Jim Foster. Her husband's a good farmer and an extremely nice man. If I do take you along there, the situation may require a certain amount of tact.
Well, that may be a little tough for a man who doesn't speak the language, but I'll do the best I can.
Well, I can't ask much more than that, can I?
Oh, Mrs. Summerfield.
Hello, Ellen. This is Mr. Hayward, Mrs. Foster.
How do you do?
Won't you come in?
Thank you. Ellen, Mr. Hayward is a friend of Sam Baxter. Over here to see what he can do.
I wish you luck, I'm sure.
Well, this is very awkward for me, Mrs. Foster. But it's so important that I... Would you mind if I asked you a few questions?
You're welcome.
You knew Lawrence, didn't you?
Yes.
Were you ever at Lawrence's place?
You haven't any right to ask me that.
Had a bit of luck today. Got this for a song.
Hello, Mrs. Summerfield.
Hello, Jim. This is Mr. Hayward.
Oh, pleased to meet you, sir.
How do you do?
Here, Ellen, what about some tea and some of that fruitcake of yours?
I don't think Mr. Hayward came for tea. He came to ask some questions about Sam.
Oh, what kind of questions?
Mr. Foster, I'm convinced that Sam's life can be saved by finding a witness. Someone who saw the shooting can testify that it was in self-defense.
You mean there was someone at his place that night?
That's what I mean.
Why come here?
Why don't you ask your question, Mr. Hayward?
I'm afraid I'll have to. Were you there that night, Mrs. Foster?
Mr. Hayward, my wife knew Lawrence. If it comes to that, I knew him myself. But Ellen at Lawrence's place that night. I'm sorry, Mr. Hayward. Looks like you've been had.
I asked your wife the question, Mr. Foster.
And I'll answer it. The night that Lawrence was shot, Ellen and I were at the pictures in Manchester. I know because we heard the news as we jumped off the bus in Lesser Hambledon. Jed Higgins and his wife were with us all the evening.
Does that satisfy you?
Yes, of course.
Then you'll please excuse me.
I'm so sorry we upset Mrs. Foster that way.
Yes, so am I, but I have to check on everything, you know.
Oh, that's quite all right.
I'm glad that you were at the movies that night, and I'm glad it made those questions easier to answer.
Mr. Hayward, don't you think I'd have answered the same way, whether Ellen had been there or not?
Oh. Goodbye.
Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye, Jim.
Goodbye, Mrs. Summerfield.
Poor Ellen.
I'll check the Higgins, but I believe them.
Well, where to?
I don't know.
Why don't you just relax and wait until tomorrow when you see that room?
Tomorrow?
I think I persuaded Robert to do something about a permit for you.
You know, I may promote you, Corporal.
And when Sam Baxter heard what Lawrence had said, how did he behave then?
He took on something awful, sir. He went fair daft.
Would you say the defendant was angry or merely heated?
Begging your pardon, sir, as you got it all out of me only the other day, you know what I would say.
I must ask the witness not to indulge himself in reminiscence.
This time, Mr. Pratty, it's former Lord and the members of the jury.
As I told you the other day, sir, Sam was angry. As angry as a bull at a red rag.
Angry as a bull at a red rag. And what did he do next?
He went out of the inn, sir.
How did he go out of the inn, Mr. Pratty?
Like a stallion out of a barn, sir.
However, just before he left, he said something. Perhaps you can recall the exact words.
By gum, sir, it was only the other day I told you.
Would the witness bear in mind that we are more interested in the words of the accused than in his own?
The defendant's exact words, Mr. Pratty.
Sam's exact words, sir. There was that dirty swine. I'm good to kill him.
That will be all, thank you.
Mr. Foxglove, do you wish to cross-examine this witness?
Thank you, my lord. Mr. Pratty, you seem to be a kindly man.
That's what I always tell my wife, but she don't see it, though.
Ah, yes, but women are notoriously fickle. Can we agree that you are well disposed towards your fellow men?
Aye, I am that.
May I ask if you would stand idly by while a bull was goring a man to death?
By gum, I may have my faults, but I'm not a coward, sir.
Then will you tell the jury why, after what you had heard Sam Baxter say, you and the others at the Red Lion remained calmly drinking your beer instead of rushing after him to rescue his helpless victim?
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, sir.
Answer the question.
Well, I'd say that me and the rest thought that Lawrence had it coming to him.
You surely can't mean that you thought he deserved to be murdered?
Oh, no, sir.
Then you must have thought that the defendant's words meant exactly what they did mean, that he simply intended to give Lawrence a perfectly justified punch on the nose.
My lord.
Sir Adrian?
I must object to my learned friend's lead.
My learned friend is endeavoring to introduce as evidence of what the witness, comfortably drinking beer, may or may not have been thinking. With all due deference, I submit, my lord, that the witness's thoughts, coupled with the witness's conjugal disagreements, are as irrelevant as they are uninteresting.
Members of the jury, you've heard the statement made by Sir Adrian. I suggest that you dismiss the matter entirely from your mind. Mr. Foxglove, do you wish to examine this witness any further?
No, my lord.
Then I think this might be a convenient moment for us to adjourn for lunch. Members of the jury, you will have an hour for your lunch. I ask you not to discuss this case with anyone. If anyone attempts to discuss it with you, call a policeman and let him deal with it.
Court adjourned until 10 minutes past 2.
Tea and toasted scones, please.
What kind of sandwiches have you got?
We have cucumber or watercress.
Well, I'll take both. You know, a double-decker, one on top of the other.
And tea, sir.
Yeah, tea. Suppose that prosecutor ever had a mother? Oh, Mary. Mary, I'm sorry. I should have better sense than to try to make bad jokes at a time like this.
It's not that, Major. It's that I'm to blame for the whole thing.
Don't be silly. How could you be to blame for anything?
I lied to you. I told you Lawrence never even looked at me. It was one day in the kitchen. He put his arms round me. Oh, he was that strong, he made me kiss him. Oh, I slapped him proper. But I never said a word about it to Sam. But if I had, he'd have kicked him out, and then all this would never have happened.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. You might just as well blame the fact that you were born, or Sam was born, or the two of you ever met. Suppose I'd taken Sam to America. None of this would ever have happened. If I follow your line of reasoning, why, I can blame myself.
Thank you, Major.
There's only one person to blame, whoever she is. Who were some of those women that Lawrence was running around with?
Well, there's rumors about Ellen Foster.
Oh, that's no good. I saw her yesterday.
There was a lot of women come down here for the holidays and hired the horses. Mrs. Summerfield might remember some of them.
Mrs. Summerfield?
Yes. She used to take riding lessons from Lawrence.
Alex Summerfield knew Lawrence?
Yes. Ever since the summer before last.
Dear young Sam. Mrs. Widgery holds him like he was a tray of pints.
Adam! I've got it. I wouldn't let Robert stir out of the house until he'd done it. Well, don't I deserve that promotion?
Where are the keys?
The constable has to unlock it. He'll be along in a moment.
Sooner the better. And good work, Sergeant.
Gather the trial didn't go too well this morning. Come on, forget about the case for a moment. While you're waiting, I'll introduce you to Peabody,
Who's Peabody?
a member of the family. He's won all sorts of prizes. Haven't you, you clever girl? She's lovely, isn't she?
Very impressive.
I think we're being asked for water. Can you reach that bucket?
Yeah.
Peabody, I'm ashamed of you.
That's the girl. That's better.
Well, thank you very much.
That's quite all right. You mustn't frighten her. She's very sharp.
She seems to get along all right with you. You must know her.
Oh, I write her all the time. She's my favorite.
This is Miss Catherine Ann Summerfield, commonly known as Sandy, Robert's daughter.
How do you do, Miss Summerfield?
You should have warned him. You know Lawrence always told you to be careful of that bucket. Poor old Peabody. She should have known better, shouldn't she?
Oh, there's Constable Hawkins.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
This way, if you don't mind, sir. I hear from Widgery that you likes a drop of mild and bitter, sir.
Yeah. When did you see Widgery?
Oh, this morning, sir, about an hour before he opened. Excuse me, sir, but I shall have to make a note of anything that you does while you're in here.
That's okay.
So I'll be waiting here until you finish, like, sir. Orders is orders.
I always say.
Do you, sir? I always say so, too.
Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. His artistic sense didn't amount to much. Looks like early comic strip.
Do women in America really look like that?
Oh, sure. Standard American writing habit. Trying to figure out what could have happened here that night.
Oh, you mean reconstruct the crime?
Yeah. How would you do it?
Well, before Sam rushed in, Lawrence was in here with his lady love. She was just leaving and...
Leaving? Why should she just be leaving?
Well, you said yourself that he was probably expecting Sam. I don't suppose he wanted Sam to find her here.
Go on.
Well, then I imagine they heard Sam running across the yard.
Why running?
Why not? He was furious.
What happened then?
Oh, then she probably ran into the bedroom. And then Sam came in and went for Lawrence. Lawrence tried to push him out and they struggled.
And then the gun went off.
No, Constable, not yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Lawrence got away from Sam and grabbed the gun. In the meantime, the lady had opened the bedroom door a bit so she could watch. We're not quite clear yet, are we? Let's get it straight. Hawkins, I'm going to need your help.
I'll do my best, sir.
You be Sam.
I'd rather be him than the other one.
Good. Now, you go outside, and when I call you, you march straight in.
Right, sir.
You will be the lady. And I will be Lawrence. When Hawkins comes in that door, you get into the bedroom, right?
Right.
We're sitting here talking.
Oh, by the way, I almost forgot to ask you. Robert would like you to come and dine with us tonight.
What was that?
You, Adam Hayward. Not you, Lawrence.
Oh. Thank you very much. All right, Hawkins, come ahead. Now get into the bedroom.
I'm sorry, I chose the wrong door.
Yes, you did. Didn't you?
Thank you.
Port or brandy, Mr. Hayward?
Brandy, please.
Alex?
I think I'll have some brandy, too.
You ever been to America, Colonel?
No, I'm afraid I'm not a migratory bird. I'm residential, like the robins in my garden. You prefer America to England, I imagine, Mr. Hayward.
Well, I'm used to it.
Yes.
You know, I get all mixed up on these titles over here. High Sheriff, for instance. At home, a sheriff is, well, you've seen them in the movies.
No, I never go to them.
Oh. Well, he comes riding into town, guns spitting fire, calling for a drink, and shooting up the local saloon, a pub, pardon me.
Yes, I see. I must have disappointed you.
Why don't you jump on Peabody and go and shoot up Lesser Hamilton?
What would the vicar say? No, I'm afraid I'm only a figurehead. Unless, of course, there's a hanging, then I have to be there.
Tell me, Colonel, what do you think of Foxglove?
Well, he's very sound, they tell me. Don't underestimate him because he's not spectacular. As long as justice triumphs...
How can justice triumph when this woman refuses to show up, whoever she is? You know, Foxglove thinks that Sam cooked up that whole story.
The police think so, too, and all the evidence points that way, you know.
You know Sam, don't you, Colonel?
Well, yes.
Wow.
Well, good luck.
Oh, hello.
Have you met Mr. Hayward? This is my daughter.
Yes.
Yes, we've met.
You're very late.
I'm sorry.
Have you had any supper?
Yes, before I went out for a ride on Peabody. I thought she needed exercise.
Did she go well?
All right.
Did you see any partridges?
2 lots.
Well grown?
The usual size.
My daughter isn't interested in shooting, Mr. Hayward. Peabody is her love. In fact, I think she loves Peabody more than anyone else. Isn't that right, Sandy?
Yes.
Right. Do you play billiards, Mr. Hayward?
No, I don't.
Will you please excuse us? My daughter and I have an engagement every evening after dinner to play one game.
He used to play with Sandy's mother.
Oh. When did she die?
When Sandy was born. I don't think I've been able to be much of a mother to Sandy. I'm sure it's been very difficult for Robert, too. Forget the trial for a minute, can't you?
I can't.
What do you think will happen?
He'll hang. He'll hang because some woman values Sam's life less than her good name, if you can call it that.
I know exactly how you feel. And I know how that woman must be feeling, too.
If she had any feelings, she'd come forward.
Why? She might have been in Lawrence's room for some perfectly harmless reason. She'd be ruined quite unjustly.
People would admire her for her courage.
And would you? Would you admire her, too?
I would.
If she'd been in love with Lawrence, she'd hate the man who killed him. She'd be glad to see him hang.
If she'd been in love with him. Suppose you were that woman. What would you do?
I don't know.
With your permission, my lord, I should like to introduce a special witness.
A special witness?
Not heretofore scheduled, my lord.
Very well.
Call Adam Hayward.
Adam Hayward. May I ask the identity of the witness?
Mr. Hayward is an American and a friend of the defendant.
Take the testament in your right hand and read the oath from the card.
I do solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Mr. Hayward, would you mind using the British form of the witness's oath?
I beg your pardon, Your Honor, my lord. I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Your name is Adam Hayward.
Yes.
You are a qualified lawyer practicing in New York.
Yes.
You practice law in America?
Yes, my lord.
My lord, Mr. Hayward is a member of the New York Bar.
You are considered competent to practice in your own country?
Yes, my lord.
I believe your courts are somewhat less formal than ours.
Yes, my lord.
Now, let me see. You are here merely in the capacity of witness for the defense.
Well, I don't know what you would call it here, but at home we'd say I was a character witness. A witness as to the prisoner's character, my lord.
Yes, I see. Let us say rather a witness to the prisoner's reputation.
We would say character, sir.
Mr. Hayward, it was written long ago by an eminent divine, a man's reputation is what his neighbors think of him. A man's character is what God knows of him. Proceed, Mr. Foxler.
Mr. Hayward, you are well acquainted with the defendant, Sam Baxter.
Yes.
You met him during the war, did you not?
Yes.
And under what conditions did you meet Sam Baxter?
Well, it was pretty rugged. We were trying to establish a beachhead. German artillery and machine guns were entrenched in the hills above us. My lord, I'm sure that the war experiences of this witness are very interesting, but hardly relevant.
I dislike taking issue with my learned friend, my lord, but I think we shall show that this evidence is most desirable.
Proceed.
You were an American officer.
Yes.
And the defendant was a sergeant in the British Army.
Yes.
Would you describe in detail what happened on the day that you met Sam Baxter?
Sir, I'd rather not. I would rather not, out of deference to the feelings of Sam Baxter. He's the type of man who would be extremely embarrassed by the details of how he saved my life, at great risk to himself.
Following that day, did you have any opportunity of observing Sam Baxter whilst under conditions of stress?
I did.
It is true, is it not, that you were both trapped behind enemy lines for 3 weeks?
It is.
And that time after time you would have been caught had it not been for Sam Baxter's coolness.
I must object, my lord, to my learned friend putting words, sentences in fact, into the mouth of the witness.
My lord, since my learned friend objects so strenuously, perhaps we had better allow the witness to testify in his own words.
Go on.
It is quite true that if it hadn't been for Sam's coolness, we would have been on the spot. Time after time, we would have been killed if it hadn't been for...
Just one moment, Mr. Hayward. Would you mind repeating that last phrase, beginning with, "It is quite true that"?
Well, I said, it is quite true that if it hadn't been for Sam's coolness, we would have been on the spot. Time after time...
Yes, on the spot, Mr. Hayward. Am I correct in thinking that you said on the spot?
Yes, my lord.
On what spot, Mr. Hayward?
Well, it's an expression, my lord.
Yes, I'm aware of that. What does it mean?
Well, it means on the spot.
Any particular spot?
It has nothing to do with clarifying actual position or location. It is an American colloquialism meaning that the party or parties referred to find themselves in a predicament from which they may have great difficulty in extricating themselves.
And that is the meaning of the phrase, on the spot?
Yes, my lord.
I see. Very handy language, isn't it? Proceed, Mr. Hayward.
My experience has taught me one thing about Sam Baxter. He would be incapable of performing the act with which he's charged. He would not kill because first he would think. He would think how by that one act of killing, he would lose his wife, his child, and everything that life meant to him, including life itself.
This foresight, this ability to evaluate, would you say that these are qualities more developed in Sam Baxter than in the average man?
I can say that Sam Baxter is certainly above the average man in strength of character. Lawrence could and did insult another man's wife. Sam could never do such a thing. Lawrence was the type of man who, having flung an insult, could have panicked and grabbed a gun to protect himself from the beating he had coming to him. Sam could never...
Lord, I must object to the testimony of the witness. He appears to be under the impression that Lawrence is on trial here, not Sam Baxter.
I'm simply trying to prove that Sam Baxter acted in self-defense.
Mr. Hayward, you're only succeeding in proving your ignorance of the function of a witness in a British court of law.
I'm sorry, my lord.
My objection, my lord, is that this line of reasoning is entirely unsupported by proof.
There could be proof. It could be proved that Lawrence had that gun in the room when Sam Baxter came in.
What do you mean when you say it could be proved?
I mean, my lord, that there is evidence that there was a third person in Lawrence's rooms that night. A person who could testify that the gun was already in Lawrence's possession.
Can you produce this witness?
No, my lord.
I fail to see the relevance of the suggestion.
If your lordship will pardon my presumption, May I suggest that what the court might do is to instruct the jury to disregard this evidence as being entirely unsupported by fact.
My lord, I am quite sure that the court is anxious to do the utmost in its power to secure any new evidence which may have direct bearing upon a case at which a man's life is at stake.
Of course, of course. Precisely what procedure have you in mind?
I suggest, my lord, that you might entertain a motion by the defense for an adjournment in order to allow time for the missing witness to be found.
I believe this line of evidence was brought up at a previous hearing. You've had plenty of time to find this witness, and I might suggest, Mr. Foxglove, that if your case was not properly prepared, you should have requested a postponement at a much earlier date.
My lord, may I question the witness on the motion?
Very well.
You've heard the evidence given previously, haven't you?
Yes.
Well, suppose for a moment there had been a witness to this crime. How do you think he or she could have escaped unseen and unrecognized by Sam Baxter? Surely not through the front door.
No.
Then how?
Through the bedroom window.
That's all, thank you. Before your lordship gives a ruling on the motion, I would like permission to recall one witness, Sergeant Manning.
Very well.
Call Police Sergeant Manning.
Police Sergeant Manning?
Sergeant, you've testified that you inspected the premises of the deceased immediately after the shooting.
Yes, sir.
Did you notice the window in the bedroom?
Yes, sir.
What was the condition of that window?
It was closed, sir.
Closed?
Yes, sir, and fastened from the inside.
Thank you.
Any further questions, Mr. Foxglove?
No, my lord.
The motion for postponement is dismissed. I think we'll now adjourn until tomorrow morning.
All persons having anything further to do before my lord the King's justice may now depart and give their attendance here tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. God save the King and my lords the King's justices.
Well, we had a good try.
Yes. Thank you very much. We did our best. Could I see Sam?
Of course, of course.
You frightened old Sir Adrian a bit.
Not me. He played with me for a while, and then he bit me in the neck.
Are you sure that window was closed when you went in? I don't remember, but I think it was. Who closed it then? Maybe I did when I went in and found the bedroom empty. I was that mixed up, Major. Perhaps I brought you on a wild goose chase. I just don't know anymore. Don't know what? Well, I don't know whether I saw anyone behind me or whether the window was open or anything. Maybe my mind just made it up so as I could hope.
Cut it out, Sam. You didn't make it up.
Well, it doesn't matter now. You can go back to your work. And thanks, Major, for what you've done for me.
Now, wait a minute, Sam. Do you remember what you said to me the day you carried me on your back? The day we both thought we were going to get it?
No, sir.
You said, take it easy, Major. When I get tired of running, I can walk. And when I get tired of walking, I can crawl. And when I get tired of crawling, I can run. Come in.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Widgery.
Thought you might like a bit of supper, sir. It's not much. The missus had gone to bed before you came in.
Well, thank you very much.
Beer isn't what it used to be, sir. Not like it was before the war. Today, you know, it's more like the curate's egg. Sort of only beer in parts.
Yeah.
It's the yolk in the curate's egg, sir. Not the beer, if you get my meaning.
Well, give me time. I'll get it.
Before the war, beer was beer. And that's a fact. You know, sir, you could come into this place with 18 pence in your pocket and never know what hit you. I can remember my father, he'd be talking to a customer, a
about his farm or Lloyd George, you know, sensible as you like. When all of a sudden, there wouldn't be a customer. You'd have thought he'd been spirited away. That's unless you knew where to look for him. And there he'd be at closing time, underneath the bar, sleeping away as quiet and peaceful as a newborn baby. All for 18 pence. And there's these politicians talking about progress. They go on talking and talking about nothing. As long as they can talk. Oh, well, I don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Widgery.
What? What's the matter, sir? Didn't you like it?
Well, I guess I just wasn't feeling hungry.
Ah, well, I hope I haven't made you tired with me talking, sir.
Oh, no, I'll turn in and get some rest.
Would you like some cold meat and pickles?
No, thanks. Will you take this for me?
Oh, all right. Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Good night, Mr. Widgery.
If you don't mind my saying so, sir...
There's someone in Lawrence's room.
What's that you say?
You better hurry up. They'll get away.
Here, hold this.
Mr. Widgery, there's something I'd like to ask you.
Well, you asked me after a whiskey, sir. You look as if you could do with one.
You go down that road.
North Road, yes.
Yes, to the bridge.
Yes, away bridge, yes.
And on the far side's a fork in the road, and on the right-hand side of the fork, there's a white gate. Where does that white gate lead to?
Onto Colonel Summerfield's land, sir.
Oh.
Constable Hawkins was here, sir, and he says as how he's come to the conclusion that you stole his bicycle.
I've got a hot piece of news for the constable. I've lost his bicycle.
Yes, sir.
Is he still around?
Oh, no, sir. He's gone back to make his report, and it won't be a good one.
But it will be a long one.
Judging by his indignation, sir, yes.
Good.
Peabody had fever in her foot this morning. Her dressings have to be changed.
Peabody? Oh, the horse.
I was wondering if there might be some special liniment in here. The place where it used to be kept is locked.
Sure. Help yourself. Never trust people, Sandy. Stick to your horses and dogs, anything with 4 feet. They can't talk, so they can't lie to you. No, never put your faith in human beings, especially the ones you love. They're the most dangerous. Women for me. Men for you, when you grow up. You see, it was women who made Lawrence what he was. Every time they came here, they betrayed somebody. And every time they went away, they lied to somebody. He didn't have strength of character enough to see what that was doing to him. He had to have him. They fed his vanity and turned his head. He became sort of a cheap, swaggering village Casanova. He never really cared for any of them. At least...
Don't you dare talk like that about...
I'm sorry to disturb you at this time of night, Colonel, but this is something that won't wait.
Oh, come in, Mr. Hayward. What is it?
Well, this isn't exactly a pleasant mission, Colonel. It concerns the trial and some new evidence.
I see. Well, if it's some legal point, I should warn you, Hayward, that I'm entirely the wrong person to come to.
Well, I've come to you, Colonel, before I take legal steps. My visit isn't official. I wish it was.
Oh. Well, come to the library, won't you?
I think I found the person who can clear Sam Baxter.
Oh, that's good news anyway.
Unfortunately, sir, it concerns you intimately. I wish there was some way of saying this without saying it. But I believe there's a chance that the witness we've been looking for is your daughter.
My daughter? Well, that's nonsense, Hayward. You're talking nonsense.
I'm afraid I'm not. I wish I was.
Do you understand what you're implying?
Yes.
Have you any grounds for saying this?
It was something that Sandy said to me.
Something she said? What did she say?
Well, it wasn't what she said. It was the way she said it.
Well, when was this?
Tonight, about an hour ago.
An hour ago? But that's impossible. She went to bed at 10.
I'm sorry, Colonel, but an hour ago, your daughter was at the Baxter stables.
Oh, Alex, I wonder if you'd mind going and asking Sandy to come down for a minute. Naturally, I shall allow her to speak for herself.
Naturally.
Yes?
Oh, Sandy, I want to talk to you.
Would you like a drink?
No, thanks.
You're not very friendly. Is something up?
Yeah, something may be up.
Would it help you to talk to me about it?
I'm afraid I'm not in a position to do that.
Adam,
Mr. Hayward, I've spoken to my daughter. She assures me there is no truth whatever in the allegation you've seen fit to make.
I see. As she is a minor, I believe you can make it very difficult for us to call her as a witness. Would you be willing to give your permission?
Mr. Hayward, I don't approve of putting a child in the witness box.
That means no.
That is not what I said. If her presence is essential, I shall see that she's there.
Mr. Foxglove?
My lord, might I have your lordship's permission to call a further witness?
Mr. Foxglove, you've already introduced one new witness. Is this another friend of the accused?
No, my lord. I believe that this witness will prove to the court that Sam Baxter killed the man Lawrence in self-defense.
Very well, then. Call your witness.
Thank you, my lord. Call Catherine Ann Summerfield.
Catherine Ann Summerfield. Take the testament in your right hand and read the oath from the card.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Your name is Catherine Ann Summerfield.
Yes.
You are the daughter of Colonel Robert Summerfield, and you live with your father in Hambledon Manor House.
Yes.
Would the witness speak a little louder, please?
This is difficult for you, I know that, Miss Summerfield. But I have to ask you these questions, and you have to answer them. You are acquainted with Samuel Baxter?
Yes.
And you also knew the man named Lawrence?
Yes.
You must answer the question so that the jury can hear you.
Yes.
You are extremely fond of horses?
Yes.
You are constantly in the Baxter stables?
Yes.
And have been for the past year?
Yes.
Were you in the stables the night that Lawrence was shot? I'll put the question in another way. Were you not in Lawrence's room that night when Sam Baxter broke in on him?
You must reply to counsel's questions.
Let it go. I'll let that question rest, if I may, my lord. Have you ever seen this before? I suggest that you have. I suggest that you borrowed this book from your aunt, Mrs. Summerfield, without her knowledge, that you took this book with you when you went to Lawrence's room that night he was killed. I suggest that you were in Lawrence's room, that you witnessed the fight that ensued, and that you can testify that it was Lawrence who had the gun, not Sam Baxter. I further suggest that the proof of this is your familiarity with the contents of this book, a familiarity proved by your having marked certain passages.
He stands and I tremble before him. Who art thou? What hast thou to do with me, thou lustrous one? Iconoclast.
My lord, is it not a...
Quite alone, he alone understands and knows. Lustrously sure, unknown, out of nowhere he rose. How beautiful he is. Without sound, without eyes, without hands.
Yet
flame of the living ground
he stands. The column of far by night. And he knows from the depth. He quite alone understands.
The Major's going.
Yes.
Give me that.
No, you don't.
Well, goodbye, Major. Have a good trip, sir.
I never did teach you to play darts, sir.
I'd take more time than a man can spare. Goodbye, Mr. Widgery.
Goodbye, sir.
Thank you very much for the room, and give my love to Mrs. Richardson and her 3 children.
I will, sir.
Well, Major? Sure, we got plenty of time to get that plane.
About 3/4 of an hour to spare, I'd say.
We go anywhere near the manor house?
Smack past it, Major.
Well, you might stop there for a second. I'd like to have a word with Colonel Summerfield.
Very good, Major.
Well, goodbye, sir.
Goodbye, Widgery. Take care of yourself.
Thank you, sir. You take care of yourself.
Colonel Summerfield?
Will you come in, sir? Mr. Hayward, sir.
I was just on my way to the plane, and I couldn't leave without telling you exactly how I feel.
It's very good of you to trouble.
If there'd been any other way of managing it, I assure you...
No, please. I understand perfectly. If I'd have been in your position, I'd have done the same myself.
It's a great relief to me to know that you feel that way,
It
sir.
wasn't the child's fault in any case. It was mine. Since her mother died, I've not been close enough to her. As you yourself may have observed, I find it rather difficult to get close to anyone. Has she eaten anything? She hasn't eaten or left her room since we got back.
I just came to say goodbye.
I see.
I wonder if I could see Sandy before I leave. Will you let me see her?
I'm afraid it wouldn't do any good, you know.
Will you let me try?
Very well. Her room is the first on the left, up the stairs.
May I come in?
Who is it?
It's Adam Haywood. I only have a few minutes. I'm leaving for America. I'm coming in. I want you to understand that I didn't come here to see you because I feel sorry for you. I imagine it's completely unnecessary for me to tell you that I didn't particularly enjoy what we went through yesterday. By the way, it might interest you to know that I don't believe you would have let Sam hang. But under the circumstances, I couldn't take that chance. Could I? You know, there's someone who's been hit a good deal harder by this business than you have. Forgive me for talking like this, but sometimes it's possible for an outsider to see a situation much more clearly than someone involved in it. That's why I think I might be able to help you. In the short time that I've been here, I've gotten to know your father pretty well. And because I know him, I think I understand you. Both of you are remarkably nice people, and both of you are scared to death to let the other one know it. He blames himself for the trouble that you're in, and although he doesn't know it, because you've probably never told him. I have a hunch that you love him very much. I know he loves you. From here on, your life and his aren't going to be worth very much unless you both know and understand that you love each other. Whatever you have to face, you should be able to face together. And I think it would help tremendously if you threw aside your pride and admitted it to each other. One of you has to do it first before the other can respond. Because you're younger than he is, Sandy. And he's older in his pride than you are. I think that you should be the one to take the lead. You know, I don't suppose that anyone has ever told him that they've loved him since your mother died. I'm sure she was always understanding enough to go to him. Why don't you try it, Sandy?
Could I?
Colonel Summerfield.
Yes, Mr. Hayward.
I think your daughter would like to see you.
Come in.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.